Well, they are hard to keep because of the fact that they need very good water parameters. For example, like SPS corals, for example, they need very low nitrates, very low phosphates, and those levels should be kept very low because, you know, SPS corals are just not a beginner coral. That is what I can say right away. But for example, soft corals like the big Cladelia over there, the mushrooms, the green star polyp down there, and stuff like that. Those soft corals, those are really easy to care for because they do not require the same things as, for example, SPS corals do. Now, an average coral to keep would be LPS corals. They also do require some good water parameters and stuff like that, but I mean, generally they are pretty easy to keep. Many people overrate it, like saying, for example, Euphyllia species like the frog spawn that I got up there. Many say that they are very hard to keep, they're impossible to keep, and they require good water parameters and stuff like that. And the common mistake that people make is that they don't research why their coral died. Now, often a frog spawn coral often gets too much water movement. A frog spawn coral needs very low water movement. You can see at my frog spawn coral, it slightly waves back and forth in the water, and it should not get any more than that. You should not blast it away where it's swabbing everywhere, because frog spawn corals are very vulnerable to things like water movement, because they can actually rip apart their tentacles and they can damage the coral very, very much, and it might die because of that. Or, well, it will die because of that. So, what you often will see is that people get a frog spawn coral, they get it into their tank, they place it at a place where they think it looks good, they don't know how the water movement is around that area, and then it closes down, it doesn't retract, it retracts and it doesn't come out. It just sits there and does nothing. Now, this is the mistake that I made to start with, but I recognized after one day that I have to move it, because if I didn't move it, it would probably just die. So I moved it up to a place where there's not a lot of water movement, but a lot of lighting. And it really benefits from all this lighting, and it's growing amazing. You can even see that there's so much light on this coral that you almost even can't see it on this camera because it's so bright. So lots of lighting for LPS corals. I will recommend that, although that is mostly for Euphyllia species. For example, LPS corals like the Duncan coral also needs low to medium lighting. However, you can actually keep it down at the bottom of your tank and keep it right there without almost no lighting, and it will still grow. You don't even have to feed it either. But what I do recommend to you guys is feed your Duncan corals, man. It's so funny and they grow like crazy. I feed my Duncan coral once every week with some mysis shrimp, and it really eats it and it loves it. So you know, that is what I do. Some people say to me, you don't even need to feed it. Well, I do, because I want this coral to grow big and beautiful and have lots of coloration. So think about that. Anyways, let's talk about the Cladelia coral right here and how I keep it. It is in a spot where there's a lot of lighting, and that's why it's so big. I started with it when it was a little bit smaller, and in for about a month to 2 months, it has already grown like crazy. I mean, just look at this. It's on the size of my hand. It's gigantic. I really love this coral. This is definitely my favorite coral. It's very easy to keep. It doesn't need a lot of feeding. For example, I do feed it some phytoplankton like once a month, but only once a month, because typically they will catch food for themselves, and they will also get most of its nutrients from the lighting. So it will also catch the food that the other corals are eating and the other fish are eating as well. And you know, that is just the thing that you guys have to remember. Don't feed your Cladelia fingerella as much, because it will catch food on its own and it will get food without you feeding it. So let's talk about mushroom corals. Mushroom corals, well, I've had these guys for some weeks now, although they got placed in a spot where there was too much water movement. And the result of that is that some of them has actually been floating around the tank and have sitting other spots in the tank. And that's basically what they do. If they don't like the spot that they're in, they'll basically they won't sit in the rock that you placed them on before, and they'll just float somewhere else. And I lost 2 mushrooms they basically came into the sea bay, and the sea bay has basically stung them. And a mellow sea bay has a very, very strong sting, so they both died. However, a lot of the mushroom corals that has been floating around has been sitting everywhere. You can, for example, see over there, there's a coral that sits over there. There's also some longer back there and stuff like that. But the rest of these mushroom corals are happy with the spot, and they just sit there forever. Now let's talk about my favorite coral in this tank. I mean, this is just one of my favorite corals overall. I just don't know why. I think it's an amazing coral. This coral is the green star polyps. Green star polyps are very easy to keep actually. They do not require a lot of different water parameters, and they do not require feeding. However, I do feed mine some phytoplankton and cyclobees, a mix of those like other SPS corals eat, although this is a soft coral. I feed it that about once a week, and sometimes I don't even feed it for a week, and it's kind of different. I do feed it once a week right now, but there was some weeks where I didn't feed it, but you know, that is basically, yeah. So yeah guys, that is basically how you care for corals and keep them successfully, and a little bit on every single type of coral. Now, let me just talk to you guys about a thing that happened to this tank. Some of you guys might notice that the clownfish aren't in here anymore, and some of you guys know why the claggy clownfish and the bicolor angelfish died. They died because of disease, or parasites to be more specific. It's not ick, but rather Brocklonella or velvet. I do not know which of those two it is because they look very similar. However, basically, let me just talk to you guys about what happened. So, I had those that bicolor angelfish and the claggy clownfish, and my fish store said that I should wait about 3 weeks, and then those parasites will probably go away. And I did get some medication from a guy, even though it's illegal to get medication for your aquarium here in Denmark. So it was hard to me to cure it, and it's just a pain in the ass. But you know, I did figure it out, and the claggy clownfish almost survived, but it died. And 3 weeks after that, I thought, well, I'm ready to get new fish, so I put the clownfish in there, the Ocellaris clownfish. And after 2 weeks, they both died of the same disease, and it's horrible, and I do not know what to do. And what I try to do is that I try to wait about a month to 2 months to make sure that the parasite spores are all gone, because I do know that there's nothing wrong with the water parameters, because my corals are growing better than you even can think. My corals are doing amazing, I mean fantastic, so it can't be the water parameters. And yeah, I just don't know what happens, and I don't know where it came from. Apparently, I think it's because our fish store don't have UV sterilizing in their tank, but I did find a new fish store that had that, and you know, that will easier kill those diseases that come from the fish. So I will get fish soon, guys. I have soon waited for about 3 weeks, and it's going to take some time, but you know, I'm patient, like you should be in this hobby. Patience is key. And yeah, so by the way guys, I got some Texas snails. You can see they're sitting over there. I think one of them died because he fell off, and I think I was too late to whip him up again, because they fall down and they can't whip themselves up again. It's kind of weird. Anyways guys, thanks for watching, and see you guys in another video.